Hello and welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we are going to look across China and are going to basically, let's say, inspect those nations and their focus trees and talk about the upcoming DLCs, which, by the way, quick mention, I have indeed watched the HOI4 official YouTube channel video on what's coming to China, so I can talk a bit more about it and give you guys a bit more information as well. Now, before we properly get into this video, while we're still here on the main menu screen, I wanted to explain a few things, and also do my normal intro at the same time. First, I'll do my intro, then I'll explain the thing I want to explain. First, if you do like this video, please like, subscribe, and turn your post notifications on when you subscribe so you never miss another upload from me, as I currently post daily videos along my channel. Now, into what I wanted to explain, and that is simply why there was no video yesterday. So I went out yesterday, I had some things to do, so I went out. While I was out, I found a USB device and I bought it. As of 2 o'clock PM yesterday, in the afternoon, British time, I started to take a bunch of videos from my PC and move them across to the USB device in order to clear some space on my PC so that you guys will be able to continue to get videos for a bit. So that's what I was doing. I was expecting it to take an hour. Turns out it took 5. So it wasn't finished until at least 7. And as you can probably tell, that means I couldn't have filmed the video because it was taking up my time. And also the video would just have been super laggy and not really good quality. So I took the decision to say no video yesterday, which to me works out. I mean, either way, it works out. It's the 19th today. It doesn't matter much. It works out where I can put this on and stuff. So just so you guys are all aware, I did say in the community post yesterday that there was going to be no video, and I'll explain further in today's video. So this is me explaining that it was simply a long, overrunning transfer of files to my new USB device that took longer than expected, henceforth cancelling the video. And this is a video that would have been out yesterday, which is now out today, which I was planning on recording yesterday. However, unfortunately, due to the fact that it took until 7, I really do not like filming after 6. Just simply because, you know, I've got dinner, and then once I come back from dinner, it's just me relaxing for the rest of the evening and not really filming anything else beyond that. So that's why there was no video yesterday. I apologise to anyone who was expecting a video, but no video, unfortunately. But we've moved. Also, just to give a little sort of precursor, I guess, these daily videos are going to end. As of January 1st, there will be no more daily videos. That's not to say the videos will stop entirely. It'll probably be 2, maybe 3 videos a week, but there will be no videos over the weekend, and, you know, more limited schedule of videos. And that's simply because the way I want to do these videos and the way I've been off camera recently, it just doesn't work out anymore, and, you know, I need to cut back a lot on, you know, the regularity of me filming this and sort of just work out a few things behind the scenes and on camera and stuff. So videos will be slowing down a little bit as of the new year. I want to try and keep daily videos until the end of this year. Now, obviously, if things get any worse, then, you know, it might change. But for now, it should be okay just to do that. And then as of the new year, sort of scale it back and work from there. Now, obviously, we're not going to play as Japan here, as I'm pretty sure all of you know by the title. This is simply on China and Chinese nations, and that's going to hopefully fill an entire video. Now, I'd like to give a little shout out to my Cards and Trains channel here, to a sort of announcement for them, which I'm doing on their behalf, which is that obviously there's a new video film coming out tomorrow, which I'm filming today. I'm also filming next week's potential video for them today as well, which should be a good video, and should be quite interesting because it's wrapping up a few things that were still open-ended. And I can also officially announce here that, and I will announce it here because I feel okay too, that the Pump House, the Walthamstow Pump House Museum, will have a video out soon. I mean, some of their videos have been filmed but not edited. Some are in the process of being edited and they're going to be out of sync. But there will be a video soon, hopefully, which will be filmed solely by me, and will be me doing something. So that's just a little hint of what is to come there. Now, obviously, we are going to talk about a lot of China here, because that is the main purpose of this video, and that is what we're going to focus on today. So we can see their focus tree here. Obviously, this is Xinjiang's focus tree, so, you know, it is not going to be the most, you know, also Soviet Union's obviously, in the new DLC, Communist China will no longer be called Communist China, it will be called the Chinese Soviet Republic, which I think is a good switch for them. Obviously, you've got quite a few things you can do here, which is pretty good. Now, obviously, if you join the communists, stop. Warlords who have sided with the nationalists can stop warlords with. Yeah, I want to stop warlords with anyone else to take territory or join the Chinese. I'm hoping here this focus does allow you to join. Yeah, it does. Join the Chinese Soviet. So we join their faction, and then once we're in their faction, I'm presuming power struggle. All Soviet Union. Effectively, that allows us to replace the communists. But anyway, so that's a bit of their main focus, and then they've got obviously the other things like that. And that's effectively the focus tree for most nations, in the sort of Chinese area, except obviously the Chinese communists and base China. So I'm going to switch to the Chinese communists right now. Spelled that wrong, didn't I? Right, that should be better. There you go. Now we're just gonna switch over to them. Obviously in the new DLC there is quite a few new nations in China that will appear, so that's good. Gives more in-depth thing to it, and also I said in the last video they should start with Japan-China war. I realised after I said that, and after filming that the war only started in 1937, so that would be entirely inaccurate and not correct. Now obviously, as you can see here by the Communist China focus tree, it's quite big. And I think this is similar-ish to the Republic or the Nationalists focus tree here, with the large amount of things you can do. Let's see if we can get to them. Let's see if we can switch over to China here, which we have done here. And then we'll have a look at their focus tree, which, oh, would you guess, is almost identical to the other one, beside, obviously, the main focus tree part, which I'm circling now with my mouse. See ya! Sorry, just someone leaving downstairs. I picked a really bad time to film, but anyway, we move on from that. You can see here in the background here that that's their main sort of focus tree, as I was saying previously. And then you've got sort of industrial and then the other bit. But their main focus tree is the only bit that's different than the Chinese. By the Chinese, I mean the communists. So that is fun. Let's go over to some of Japan's puppets. As I know they have focus trees, and I know they're going to probably get an update in this next release of DLC. So obviously we know they're pretty big, and they're a pretty big nation here as well at the same time. So that's obviously interesting. They've got the main part of the Chinese one, but then they've also got the pacify the countryside thing, which unlocks a lot of other things, which obviously the Chinese do not have, which sort of makes some difference on that there. So now we'll tag to the other Japanese puppet in the region. Have a look at how this is going to play out. Sorry guys, just had a sneeze there. And as you'll see, it's a basic focus tree, so anything's better than that, as I always say. So, you know, that's sort of how that's going to go. Also, they're updating the Navy a bit, which I think is going to be pretty good. Be a nice new sort of Navy look for them, and should look a little bit better than it does at the minute. And I want to say the border conflicts for Chinese nations I actually quite like. I think it's a fun feature that I have, and I think it's a pretty cool thing for them to have included in the game. I personally do think it could be possibly a bit more frequent, because currently you have to wait a long time for the next one to come up. Obviously I don't think it should be, you know, you can do one off the other after the other. I think there should be a sort of waiting time in between, but I do think the current waiting time is a bit long. I think maybe 35 days or 70 days, like a focus, would be a good thing for that, per se, as I feel like that would be a good idea to do, and also would allow you to expand into China a bit quicker, enabling you to secure territory and build a stronghold and prepare for a war against Japan, because obviously you have to bear in mind that, you know, you're going to go to war with Japan in 37 as of a normal day to do it, so you still got to try and take as much of China as you can before 37, or you've got to wait until you finish the war with Japan, which, in all honesty, sometimes you don't, and sometimes you lose to Japan, and then you become a puppet if you're a nationalist, otherwise your game might be over. But it would sort of just be nice if, you know, say you were using a console command, you could complete focuses pretty quickly, and you got down to that. It'd be quite nice for you to be able to quickly gain territory off, you know, the nationalists or Xinjiang or whatever it is that you border, quickly and effectively. So that's just a little thing I wanted to say there. But yep. Also, just while we're on the subject, I hope the Soviet Union gets a little bit of an update, maybe Mongolia as well, because I'd quite like Mongolia to get an update where you can form the Mongolian Empire. Like, I know that's not historical for the time period, but I think, you know, if you've got something like the Byzantine Empire for the Greeks, or, you know, the Ottoman Empire for the Turks, I think it's only fair if you give Mongolia a chance to form the empire again, you know, considering what you've got for other nations. It's only fair that you allow someone like the Mongols to have that ability, especially if you're going to have something like the Roman Empire for Italy. you should have at the same rate the ability to form an empire for Mongolia, because they had a massive empire and they were, a massive power at the end of the day. That it would be nice for them to have that sort of thing. And also, not many people might agree with me on this one, but I think personally the British focus tree needs an update. Some may not agree with that. That's okay. It's my opinion. You can have your own opinion. But I think the British focus tree has needed an update for a little while now. Not that it's bad. Like, don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's brilliant. You know what it is. It's fine. I just think with Germany looking new and fresh, and Japan and China can look new, fresh, and updated, I think Britain is sort of falling behind slightly. And I think if they had more sort of focuses to sort of bring it forward and, properly focus on the empire, and because obviously, let's say, for example, that the British go communist. What if you want to form a communist empire? Which I know I've never played communist because I just don't like doing it, because it doesn't have too much for any nation. But what if you did go there? Shouldn't you be able to have the ability to form an empire there? And also, say you go monarchist, you get the opinion to get the dominions back. You can get the Raj back as well, and you can get Ireland. But what if you wanted, to truly expand? I'm not going to say expand into America because that's already in there, but I feel, you could have decisions, more focuses. You could have the ability to, I think they should expand the Navy a little bit, where, let's say they had someone like the HMS Hood, which was obviously a World War One ship. I think they should mention more about that, and also the pre-dreadnoughts. They should be mentioned. I think they should be allowed to be built in the game. So I think they should expand the Navy to what nations would have at the start of the game, because some nations might have pre-dreadnought hulls, and I think it'd be good to have that. I'm probably saying all this and they're already in the game, but that's life, I guess. But yeah, I do think there are some upgrades, like Britain. I think Ireland also needs an upgrade, as I said in the last episode, because they were, potentially going to be a great ally of the Germans. That could be a great storyline to have, or you could have them forming the Celtic Empire, whatever. I think these are fun ideas that they Hearts of Iron and Paradox should do. Because, I know some people play this game simply for historical accuracy. But I think there is still a sort of market where, you got to have the base of historical accuracy because that is what your game is. But I think there should also be an element of you have the option to go alt history for those people who like doing that. And it's just careful balance of fitting the two of them in at once, and working them out together. But let's just go across the world and see some other nations that I think could do with an upgrade. Tibet is one of them. I think Tibet has currently got a basic focus tree and needs upgrading massively. I think they should have the ability to become a subject of China. I also think all the Chinese nations should have an easier ability to take Tibet in, as to be a part of them. And I think Tibet should also have an opportunity to potentially, this is an alt history thing here that could be added. Why don't they have the ability to take Nepal under their control, Bhutan under control, or territory I'm on now. I'm going to turn this thing off just so it's not annoying me anymore. But I think Tibet should be allowed per se to take this bit of this Sikkim territory here. I think that should be ability for them to take it, because it would be so much better for them. I also think they should have the ability to take Zikang via focus tree, possibly even extending it further into maybe Ganzi could be an idea. I think they should have an option to take some territory here, like Qinghai could be an option for them. Maybe take even more territory into Xinjiang or whatever. I think also into the British Raj they should have options. to push in here, like into Kashmir, and take territory from them. Like, I think Tibet should have an ability to basically form an empire. I'm going to break off here from it. Saudi Arabia is basic focus tree, effectively. I think they should change that. I think there should be an update soon where Saudi Arabia gets a focus tree. I know they didn't do much in World War II, but at the same point, if you're giving someone like Iraq, a focus tree, then you have to argue, why isn't Saudi getting one? Why isn't Yemen getting one? Why isn't Oman getting one? I also think that the British territory held of Yemen should be some sort of British puppet regime like they did up in the Middle East. I also think that, some other places like Abu Dhabi and Qatar should be British sort of puppet things like they've got in Kuwait or up in Jerusalem or Jordan. I think would be good for them, like they did with the French as well. I think Cyprus should also be an independent sort of puppet, so should Malta and stuff. And possibly Egypt, because obviously Egypt in real life was a British colonial state, which was under sort of British-led regime there, which wasn't exactly always home rule, and under direct British sort of ruling, it was under a British puppet, I do believe. So it'd be good to have something like that in the game. I think that would improve things greatly, and I think it'd be quite nice to have. I also, I feel strongly about Ireland getting a focus tree, and Luxembourg also needs a focus tree, because it's sort of, a lot of people play as Luxembourg just simply to take over the world or go to war with everyone. And I think, that's great, but I think if they had a focus tree to allow that sort of gameplay to be done would be great. Obviously, there is a sort of thing of maybe not historical, and it's not. But if they had that sort of ability to have a sort of focus tree where they could form the lowlands countries, they could take over parts of Germany, parts of France, I think would be good for them, because it would help people be able to form them. And I think they should play into a lot of people forming a global empire as Luxembourg. I think they should play into that and, help them out with focus tree or whatever. Ireland here, great example of someone who was actually part of history in a sense, where they could have turned the tide of war against the British, given half a chance to do so, and if they had taken the German offer. I think that should be an option here for the Irish to be able to take and effectively play into, because I think that would be pretty cool. And I think the Germans should get a focus where they can effectively go to Ireland and cause a coup, and maybe, a certain group in Ireland could coup the government and come into power, and then look to take Northern Ireland, and the Germans might give Northern Ireland across to the Irish and take all of Britain or whatever, or Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland might go to the Irish, and England might go to the Germans, whatever. I think there's so many options for upgrades in Hearts of Iron 4 to be done, that I think, they should do before they look at making a new game, which I definitely think that it is coming closer to having to make a new game for Hearts of Iron 4. I mean, Hearts of Iron 1 in general. I think Hearts of Iron 5 is soon. I think, they have got a few more updates and upgrades that need to be done, make Ireland and stuff, and sort of make it so everyone's got a focus tree in the game. I also think the basic focus tree should be upgraded a little bit, just to help out with some nations and stuff. But I think generally overall, let's say they upgrade Ireland, Mongolia, Tartu, whatever else that doesn't have a focus tree. There is a point where you go, you've upgraded everyone's got a focus tree, everyone's pretty much complete for now, when is the next game? Because there's some mechanics that could be tweaked with the next game, like they could add the ability to capture units and make them into your military. And I think, you know, if they were to sort of make a new game, I feel there's ways that they could branch off from where they are currently with, you know, troop captures and things like that. And I feel that is at some point going to be necessary for them to sort of push forward with. But for now, you know, this game is good. But you also have to remember this game is, as of next year, going to be 10 years old. So, you know, there is an argument of when is it time for the next game? You know, is it necessary for the next game? And I mean, you know, that can be a separate video on its own, and I might discuss that at some point in the future and discuss some things about the new game, whatever, if I feel like doing that. But obviously this video is simply to talk about China and, you know, the upcoming DLC. And then I just thought I'd share some opinions on potentially future DLCs coming to the expansion pass number 2. But yeah, DLC comes out tomorrow. So expect not the same sort of style of format of looking through circuitries like that. We're not going to do that. What we're going to do instead is I'm going to go through the nations one by one for each video, and we're going to do just one video, standalone video on each one. And that's the plan for that one. And that is exactly what I plan to do. And so I hope you all will enjoy that. And with that being said, that is pretty much it for this video. If you did like this video, please like, subscribe, and turn your post notifications on, which is subscribe, so you never miss another upload from me. And I hope to see you all in tomorrow's video, which will be day 1 of the new DLC. I will be purchasing it later, obviously, otherwise, you know, it's going to be quite difficult to make a video on it. But yeah, hope to see you all in the next video. Bye for now. Bye.